Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T, and I wanted to share the latest news on the Delphi case with you. On Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, yesterday, Superintendent Doug Carter with the Indiana State Police talked about all things Delphi, including suspect Richard Allen, child P addict Kagan Klein, sealed documents, police sources, you name it. Carter was interviewed on WIBC 93.1 FM, Hammer and Nigel. Carter said, and I quote, "This case is unlike any that I've seen in an almost 40-year career. There's so many different tentacles to this. It's very complex," end quote. What a telling description. It doesn't sound like Carter thinks this was a lone wolf operation. So many different tentacles. Carter explained it like this. Richard Allen is the man charged with the deaths of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, but detectives will continue to investigate anyone who may have a connection to the case. That includes Kagan Klein. He's locked up in Miami County, Indiana, facing 25 child P-related charges. According to this interview, which I will leave a link to in the description, the charging documents that would explain why Allen was arrested are currently under seal due to an order signed off by a judge at the request of Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McLeland. The hearing to determine if those docs will remain sealed is fast approaching. November 22nd. Carter, when asked if he felt releasing those documents would jeopardize the case, said, and I quote, "No, I don't think at this point it will, and I think it will answer a lot of questions that people have," end quote. Carter went on to say that once those docs are unsealed, we, the public, will understand how the case got to this point, meaning how law enforcement came to see Richard Allen as the perpetrator. And when it comes to the media and us true crime sleuths feeling frustrated at times that not many details of the case have been released, Carter replied as follows, "There are things that we know that only the perpetrator would know. Speaking generally, it's investigative strategy. Obviously, if we know what the perpetrator knows, and nobody else does, when we do talk to the perpetrator, we'll have a clearer idea of what occurred," end quote. Note that I used the word perpetrator in place of the actual word that starts with a K and ends with ER. The conversation between Carter and the news guys then turned to the fact that several news outlets have published articles about the Delphi case's investigation, citing anonymous sources and even police sources. Carter finds this frustrating, and he said, and I quote, "It is frustrating. I will say yes. It is absolutely frustrating because we can't talk about what we think, and I've said this many times before. You should expect us to only talk about what we know, and shame on us for saying something that might jeopardize that. So whoever this source is, I doubt very seriously that individual is a part of the core team," end quote. I believe that Carter here was referring to the police source who told WishTV.com Tuesday, November 15th, 2022, yesterday, that the recent 5-week state police search of the Wabash River in Peru, Indiana, was connected to the Delphi investigation. You heard that right. An anonymous police source told WishTV.com that the 5-week-long police search in the Wabash River was connected to the Delphi investigation. That search was initiated by 28-year-old Kagan Klein, the child P addict from Peru, Indiana, who is currently in jail in Miami County, Indiana, on 25 counts of child P-related charges. The police source revealed to iTeam 8 that the search of the river was initiated after Kagan Klein told the police they would find a cell phone and a weapon in the river. Klein shared the information about the weapon and cell phone while being questioned about the deaths of Libby and Abby. The evidence Klein said would be in the river was never found. And we all know that Kagan Klein has a reputation for lying to investigators and pretty much everyone else. So whether or not a cell phone and a weapon related to the Delphi case were ever in the Wabash River remains a mystery. Kagan Klein might have made that information up to try and help himself with his many Child P charges. But now we know, at least, if we choose to believe this police source, that the Wabash River search was definitely related to the Delphi case. I'm assuming Kagan Klein told the investigators that those two items, the phone and the weapon, were somehow involved in Libby and Abby's deaths. Speculating, but that makes sense. I really hope that Kagan Klein wasn't messing around here with the information. If so, he deserves to be additionally charged for lying to the police. This case doesn't need any additional headaches or hiccups. Until the next time on Bed Crime Stories. And hey, if you appreciate my updates on these cases, please hit that like button, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. I have memberships if you want to support the channel. You can also make a one-time donation to my Patreon.